What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of 27 and Q with the prognosticator, the two-time Super Bowl champ, former running back, the great one, number 27, flexing. He should, Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Quinones, and we appreciate everyone always keeping us locked in 27 and Q. All right, big man, go ahead. I will allow you. You know what? I will allow you to gloat to some extent, but let me just say, you are such a casual
I
boxing
mean,
fan.
absolute casual, Rich. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm a casual fight fan. I just like to see people get punched in the face. I know nothing about the sport, given the fact I've been around the sport for I don't know how many years. Last night was a display of that Errol Spence has been in the ring with.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna go back. We go back to Danny Garcia. Let's go back. All of those guys never ever at one point in their career was any kind of an effective counter puncher.
Yeah.
Ugas wasn't. Danny Garcia wasn't. Sean Porter led with his head. He wants to make things happen. Chris Algieri was a guy who kind of possessed some of that ability, but just was weak.
Yeah.
He had no power.
Yeah,
He had no punch with him. He had no punch with him. So Terence Crawford was one of these guys that Errol Spence fought. That was the first time he ever seen a guy with that type of ability, right? Sometimes Terence fought on the retreat, throwing counter punches on the retreat. But most times he stood in front of him, moved his head, even took a shot to give one. I knew the fight would go like that. I just thought he'll beat him like that over 12 rounds. And I think, and to be honest with you, I think Errol would have stood in there for 12 rounds and got his ass beat, would have got his ass handed to him. So they stopped the fight, but it was on his way of going exactly what I said it would be, you know, and it's just a bunch of things that surrounded him, man. Terence was 145 on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's a big deal when you're able to eat before weigh-ins. That's a big deal. You know, was 145 pounds on Tuesday. Ended up weighing in at 146. You know, just knowing got some resources in both camps. While Errol is 150 pounds on Thursday morning.
Yeah, and that worry. Yeah, see, and I want to get into this. So first of all, listen, last night, I mean, when we talked about this July 4th, and I went back and I was reading like some of the comments because, we got a lot of views and a lot of engagement, and I was laughing, and because everyone has their own opinion at the end of the day, right? It's not about being a fanboy. I mean, even though some are fanboys and some are casuals, Errol Spence is a very good fighter. But to your point, Crawford is just another level, right? Because the ring acumen, and we can talk about, the inactivity with Earl and coming off the accident. And then again, was supposed to fight Pacquiao in 2021, had the retina issue, came back to tune-up fight against, Garcia. He looked good. Totally different animal when you're going against Crawford, who I think as an all-time great, as goofy as this sounds, unappreciated, because what he's able to do in the ring, power-wise, moving around, and then the fact that if I'm going toe-to-toe with you and you want to fight me, but I can box you. And if you can't outbox me, you're shit out of luck. And that's what we saw last night. And to your point, we talked about this a little bit before we came live. Once Spence delivered, what was it, like the looping overhand in the first round, afterwards, Terence was asked, did you feel the power? And he said, I mean, no, like if that's the best you got, this is the type of fight it's going to be. Floors him in round 2, which is unheard of when you think about it, right? Because he's a notoriously slow starter. You give one round to Errol Spence, and that was round 1. Floored him twice more in round 7. It was academic going up to round 9. You called it perfectly. I think we get caught up when we are going through the resumes and the body of work. But for me, Crawford just displays a ridiculous, unique skill set. And I also think the patience, and I think there's something to be said about the ring acumen. You know, Lou DiBella had a great tweet. He's like, I'm looking at Crawford, I'm thinking to myself, this guy's like marvelous Marvin Hagler in his prime. Now, Hagler was a little more stoic. Crawford doesn't really show emotion, so to speak, came out and rightfully so ripped those that kind of dismissed him a little bit. I mean, all those years PBC, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they were talking like this guy was a peasant, like he was sparring at the local pal. I mean,
well,
come on.
I don't mean to cut you off, Richard.
No.
And I'm gonna say this, man, and I got a very good relationship with folks over at Top Rank. It's just a matter of business. It never was Terence's fault that he couldn't fight Errol, that he couldn't fight all of these other guys. You know, all these other Al Hammond fighters is over in PBC. That wasn't his fault. He wanted those fights. Just so happened that business could not be done on both ends about that, you know, for him to get those fights. Which, again, PBC has Tank. So you'll never see Tank fight Shakur Steve. You'll never see Tank fight Devin Haney. You'll never see him fight those
But don't
guys.
you want the fights that are best for boxing, though?
I want the fights that's best for boxing. I'm like you. I want the fights that's best for boxing. But however, business is business. Things got to be the way it has to be. You know, if I got Devin Haney and I got Shakur Stevenson in my camp, I don't need PBC, right? But going back to it, seems like Bob will have to talk Devin into fighting Shakur, you know, and people always say, well, Shakur, you know, just not getting off subject, but he offered him a contract. See, sometimes if I'm sitting over here and I'm looking at this monster over there and I know he's in my weight class and I know we got the same promoter and I know there's a possibility and I got the belts, I know there's a possibility that I can fight this guy, I'm going to offer him something that's going to be that he's probably going to look at me and be like, you got to be out your mind. I'm not taking that money.
Yeah.
And then just to say he offered him a contract, you know, but you don't want to fight him.
Okay, so perfect. Go back for a second because you do have a relationship with Top Rank and you're very familiar with them, as you mentioned. Go back a couple years ago. Do you believe this fight could have been made prior to Errol Spence getting in the accident?
No, I wouldn't say that because prior to Errol Spence getting in the accident, I think Terence just had his second fight at 47.
At 47, he moved up. Correct.
Yeah, just moved up from 40, and he just had his second fight. So I don't think this fight was.
I guess
1 year. I say 1 year removed.
Okay,
this fight should have happened last year.
That's my point.
Remember, I had the whole thing in May.
Yep.
That I had the whole thing. I was going to go to the fight. I was going to do it. Maybe it would have been a better showing then. Okay. Right, but I still don't see him beating Bud.
Right,
I still see him taking the same ass whooping, but he just looks a little bit better doing it.
Yeah, I think he beat Burns in 2014. That was his first title at 135, went up to 140, then 147. And I bring it up only because it seems that everyone's clamoring, well, you're going to get the casuals now that come out. I can't believe he took this fight. He looked zapped. He looked overhydrated. He looked drained. This should have been made years ago. This wasn't Pacquiao and Mayweather where it should have been years ago. Let's be honest. And when they fought, there was juice and buzz, but the fight was a friggin' snooze fest. And then Manny complained about his shoulder afterwards and whatnot.
Again, talk about the business of it, right?
Yeah.
Why did Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather wasn't made sooner? Because Manny Pacquiao spent most of his career with Top Rank.
Correct. Yes.
Floyd is a PBC guy.
Yeah.
So it was all in water. It never mixed. I don't say one was wrong, one was not. Manny had to leave Top Rank in order for that to happen. Floyd runs his own show, right? So he had to leave Top Rank in order for that to happen. And I think, I don't know what the discrepancy was or why he ended up leaving over contract disputes or whatever it was. But that's when that fight was made. And that's the thing. These promotional companies have to try to find a way to work together because one got great fighters and the other one got great fighters and people want to see those guys fight. So something has to come, you know, of it to where we can make these good fights happen for the fans.
Well, I guess, you know, today there's always the Monday morning quarterback in next 24, 48 hours. Everyone's going to dissect the fight. Everyone's going to be an expert. Everyone's going to talk about which, you know, how Spence should have done it, maybe what he didn't do in training. Where do we lay the blame? I mean, look, everyone, you know, I'm hearing like, you know, you dare to be great. Hey, that's all well and good, man. But he got his ass handed to him and credit to him for manning up afterwards. I lost to the better man. Now, all that being said, what could, when he gets dropped early, to me, we've watched enough. The fight's pretty much, you see the man is broken early on. You see the will, and it was almost inevitable. What could he have done anything differently in that fight? Or that's just how good Crawford is?
Just how good Crawford is. He tried pressuring.
Which we talked about.
Give the ring. You move the ring. You pressure. Even Terence pressured a little bit last night.
Yeah.
Even he pressured a little bit last night. Terence is great at fighting on the retreat. So with the time where Errol was pressuring him, he was still getting countered. He was still getting popped with those little short jabs and those little short left hands. He only got caught with a couple real big shots. Everything was really short, controlling. He's standing over his feet. He's able to move back and forth. He's able to pivot real hard with his hip into every punch he threw. But nothing was just this wide looping. Like everything was right down the pipe with Terence. That's how it always is.
Yeah. I just think after that first knockdown, right, I'm fighting from behind, even though I got the opening round because I know my opponent's a slow starter. You just saw, Crawford got stronger as the fight wore on, and Spence took a beating, which now, again, it begs the question you start to get into, if I can have that bi-directional, that kicker and the rematch clause, right? Let me get that trigger within 30 days. All right. Do I want this at 147 by both admission, both drained? Do I want it at 154? Are we going to see the same? See, when a guy gets beat that bad, to me, just me, I feel there's no need for a rematch because I believe the same thing is going to, for the most part, happening. Like, sell me on why it would be different. It's hard to do even at 154.
The money wouldn't be any different. The money probably be less because of the outcomes of the first fight.
But what's the benefit? What's the benefit right now of Bud saying, yeah, I'll do it at 154? What?
There's no benefit for him. You're not even fighting for a belt. You're not fighting for a belt because I think Charlo is unified at 54.
Correct.
Yeah. So there's no belt on the line. I wouldn't go up to 54 to have a rematch against a guy that I just absolutely destroyed for nothing. The money won't even be the same. I'll be the A side. The only way, if I'm Terence's manager, the only way I would take that fight, it would have to be some 70-30 type shit like that. It would have to be something like that in order for me to be okay with my guy taking a rematch at a higher weight class. Again, like I said, Terence was 145 on Tuesday, so he's not having problems making weight. So why go up to 54?
What does he have to prove at 147? Is he going to take on Boots?
He got to take on Boots. There's no way around it. He got to take on Boots, and quite honestly, Boots is a tricky fighter. Got a lot of tricks up his sleeves. The guy is a great fighter, great young champion, a great young guy that's going to be a great champion one day, right? But I just don't think he's enough for Bud. I don't think he's going to be. But outside of Boots, it's really nobody. So after he fight Boots, I think he might as well go ahead and either call out a Floyd Mayweather, because I think Floyd can still make 47 and get that fight going.
Crawford, Boots is going to be his mandatory, right? IBF mandatory.
Boots is his mandatory, and Crawford, Crawford, he's going to fight.
Boots is in my backyard. He's a Philly fighter. I think he's an exceptional boxer, very good body puncher, counter puncher, moves around well. Man, I just look at that fight last night and you got Bud just dominating. I mean, it respectfully, without sounding disrespectful, it looked like a mismatched sparring session at times. And again, remember we argued in early July, we went back and forth talking about the body of work and the resume. Now, are we really going to take away what Bud did last night and say, well, you got a drained, overhydrated Spence? He wasn't.
Hell no.
Okay.
He'll beat him anyway. It'll be the same fight.
Yeah.
It'll be the same exact fight. Actually, I think it may be worse because his legs might be a little bit stronger to still stay in front of Terence instead of staggering and losing balance. And like most of the shots later on in the fight that Terence missed, he landed a punch, he's staggering, and he threw another one and misses.
Yeah, so there's no reason then to move up to 154 There's no reason to move up to 150. If you move up to 154, you're vacating, right? You're moving up to 154, and then next in line, the assumption is it would have been Charlo.
But do you vacate though? Really, if you go up for one fight and come back down?
Yeah, but then
Do
again,
you really vacate?
So you're saying vacate, go to 154, drop back down to 147, and take on Boots?
But who does that? Nobody does that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm looking at the body of work with Ennis. And again, you can't take away the record. That's the thing. The record is what it is, right? He's 31-0, 28 knockouts. I think he's 24, 25 years of age. It's not a lot of these guys, they're good fighters, right? Maybe fringe, but they don't stand out. I don't know, man. What I saw last night was
probably you saw a clinic. You saw a boxing clinic.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw.
Here's how you do this. You got a whole audience that got young fighters in the crowd.
Yeah,
got the 12, 13-year-old kids in the crowd here. This you got to pay attention to what the teacher's saying up front. You got to listen. Yeah. And he put on a display of great work.
I just don't know why he is it when you listen to some of the broadcasts, and it is, I believe some of the reporting is very biased and pushing the agenda and the narrative. How do you sit there objectively and say, the sport, or you're intertwined in the sport, or you're part of the sport, either calling the fights or covering the sport, and very dismissive towards Terence Crawford's career? Like, I understand being on the payroll and being a shill. Like, to me, I'm thinking to myself, how can I take you serious? And when we spoke, you got crushed. I got crushed. We weren't fanboys. I like Spence. I thought it was a 50-50 fight on paper. But then I talked about Bud's acumen. You nailed it. In 9 rounds, you said 12, but you nailed it. You said it was going to be annihilation. My point is, though, how can you on good faith sit there and say, well, he's an okay fight, or not give the man, as we say, his due, his flowers? It makes absolutely no sense. I cannot take you serious if you're still dismissing this man's resume or his body of work after what we saw last night.
People, resume. Let's hit on that a little bit, Rich. Yeah. Let's go back to Spence.
Yeah.
All right. The second eye socket was broken with Carol Brook against Spence. It had been broken before that against who he fought. Who broke his eye socket at first? That was the second time it happened to him.
Yeah, but then what did he do to Ugas? He broke his.
He broke his too, but Ugas had 4 losses. Yeah. Ugas came into the Spence fight with 4 losses already. He had been beat by 4 guys prior to that fight.
Yep.
His name rang bells when he beat a congressman.
Yep.
He beat Pacquiao, and all of a sudden this guy's yippity yay, right? That made him somebody, right? That to put on Errol Spence's resume.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit who he beat. Ugas is not like that. Ugas is not like that at all. So where are they getting this greatness from, right? Sean Porter said something like 2 weeks ago, that Errol said that pissed him off. He didn't train the same for Terence Crawford. His dad said this, his dad said that. He went on record saying, that's bullshit. I never told Errol or nobody else. People are making these assumptions. I trained my ass off. Every time I get in the ring to fight, I train my ass off because your life was on the line. I didn't train no less for Terence than I trained for him.
Right.
They're just 2 different fighters. You're 2 different fighters, and this fight won't be as easy as everyone thinks for Errol, right? So Sean Porter is the only legit guy, you ask me, that both guys fought. One stopped and one went to decision. Danny Garcia is another one on the way. He fought Errol Spence. He lost, right?
Yes.
Danny is a guy who's going to stand. He's tailor-made for a guy like Errol Spence.
They said
he's going to stand there. Yeah, he's going to stand there. He's a tough Philly fighter. He's going to show he's tough. He's going to stand in the paint. He's not afraid. He's tailor-made for Errol Spence. Tailor-made. So he beat him, right? We all knew that was going to happen, So, I mean, let's really talk about resumes. Who else did he fight?
Well, the common opponent was Porter, and we talked about how, Bud took care of Porter and how Errol took care of Porter, and that was kind of the the common denominator. Did you finish them off, or did it have to go to the scorecards? That was the crux. That was the the argument with everyone, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I mean, Terence Crawford is a great fighter, man. Terence came in to boxing at a young age, just like most of the guys. Great fighter. He's had skills like this forever. You know, he does actually remind me of a younger Floyd Mayweather. He looked good, man, and nobody could take that away from him. I would love to see what a fight like that'll do.
I can't for the life of me. How old is Floyd now?
Floyd is 43, 4, 5, something like that. I don't know, somewhere around there. But the man still has reactions. The man still has he's still in the gym training. Now, could Floyd make 47? I don't know. I have no idea if he can make 47 or not, because he's been doing these exhibitions at like 60 and stuff like that. So I'm not sure he can make that weight again.
I kind of though wonder after a fight like that, if you're Spence's corner and your management team and family and circle, if you're saying to yourself, "Hey, man, we know about the inactivity, right? You got to have people actually speak honest to you. Like a rematch would just be a friggin' disaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was supposed to be like the biggest fight in the last 15 plus years, the biggest fight over the last decade. And it was such a lopsided, one-sided match. Like, why would you want to put a man in that position again to get beat like
At a bigger weight? Everybody
at a
keeps saying,
bigger
"Oh,
weight?
he'll be stronger. He'll be stronger. He'll be in
Yeah,
better shape at
but when it
154." Terrence will be too.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Terrence will be too. So you got to take that into account as well.
Yeah, the whole thing is just like, I mean, I enjoy reading like some of these articles and recaps and some of the it's like, come on, man. The guy lost one time in his career. He got destroyed last night. What does that mean? He's chicken shit. It means he's a less of a fighter. It's just he got beat by the better, more see. And I'm starting to kind of side with you a little bit. Where is Boots Ennis seasoned enough? Does he have that live dog in him to be, young fighter? Can he give Bud a potential fight, or would it be something where he gets totally outclassed?
I don't think he gets totally outclassed. I think he'll put up a much better fight than probably a lot of people would have and did with Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I think Boots has a golden opportunity in front of him. And to be their underdog, because if you go on to fight as an underdog, then what happens to you? You get your ass whooped. They expected you to, but if you win, you win, right? So, I don't think he would. I don't think he would outclass him, because Boots he has great skills. I don't think it would be a total. I don't think it would be an outclass match, but I think a unanimous decision will go Bud's way.
Real quick on Spence, do you think look, and I remember, I think it was a month or so before the fight against Pacquiao that he had the detachment, right? The break in his left eye. You think any effects of the accident, any effects of that, I'm not going to say played into last night, but it's almost as like you played the running back position, right? Hit after hit after hit after hit.
Accumulation
There you
of
go.
damage, right?
Yeah.
Actually, me and Kendall Holt talked about this last night for about 30 minutes on the phone after the fight. Sparring, when you're getting ready for a fight, you only supposed to spar. If you're training for 3 months, you only supposed to spar really the first month of training. Yeah, and you're supposed to do it like 2 times a week, because it's damage accumulating throughout training. Throughout training, you're getting hit, you're getting hit, you're getting hit, you're getting hit. And guys that train for 3 months and they spar for 3 months, 2 or 3 days a week, that's doing damage to these guys leading up to the biggest fights of their careers, right? Isn't that how the retina with Errol Spence was detached? I guess
Sparring. Yeah.
It damage. It takes a toll on every fighter. It takes a toll on every fighter. So when I was working with Kendall, And me understanding the body, I would try to get him to understand certain things about sparring, which that was he was used to doing. I started working with Kendall later in his career, so so we kept him doing the same stuff he was doing. But damage like the retina, like that stuff it took a toll on like on Errol. But you got to think about this though, Rich. In every fight that Errol has had that wasn't an early stoppage, he's been hit.
Yeah.
He's been hit.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. It's a really good point. Yeah. And then conversely, when you look at, you know, what fight can we really say Crawford got tagged in his career? Objectively, fairly.
Gamboa hit him. Gamboa got him good.
Early in the fight?
Early in the fight. Yeah, Gamboa got him good. I'm not sure about anybody.
Point being, never had that issue, never got in a car. I mean, I'm not making excuses, but those are the realities, right? I mean, for the most
those are the realities. Yeah, Errol Spence was in a damn coma, wasn't he, for a couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, there was a horrific car accident.
Now, I'm not taking nothing away from Terence, but a lot of that stuff plays, a lot of that stuff plays a part. And I'm looking at Errol leading up to the fight, which is why I made the prediction I made. Speech was slurring. He's talking really slow.
Could that have been, well, hold on. Let me ask you something. It's funny you mentioned, I had the conversation with my buddies about that today. And I was like, maybe it's that Southern drawl. Maybe it's because he was drained a little bit, or do you think it was cumulative effect, in between the years? You never want to speculate.
No, man, I don't know, man. Like I said, I went through the same thing as far as the being drained with Kendall. I was telling Kendall the whole time, you need to go to 47, champ. I'm big at 140, but you're making weight Thursday night. I mean, you making weight Friday morning at 5 a.m.
That's brutal.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, you gotta from Thursday to 5 o'clock in the morning to Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning. You gotta lose 2.5 pounds, champ. This is not your weight no more, man. 140 is not it for you. So you get in the ring, and I told him last night, I said, this remind me of you. Drained in the fight. You got 4 good rounds of you. Now, Kendall never got dominated like that because of weight. It wasn't that much of a difference. But you see his punch output goes down. You see his feet. He's not moving out the way of shots.
Not moving as much.
You know what I mean? Not moving. So he was drained. So with that being said, I knew that look also well. But at the end of the day, Terence was the better fighter. I think if everything was good with Errol, the weight and everything was good, I think he'd have still been dominated, just not as bad.
And he took away his best punch. He took away his jab early.
He took away his jab. He neutralized his jab.
Yeah, that's it.
He neutralized his jab, ended up being closer to him, neutralizing his jab, and every time he threw it, he got countered over the top of it. Why? Throwing that jab out there, he bringing it back slow down to the chest versus the face.
Yeah.
That's what good fighters take, that type of note. They take that mental note and they take advantage of that. Yeah, but I'm casual though, Rich. I'm casual as shit when it comes to boxing.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just a casual.
I question if you know anything about the sport. How about
man.
How about the irony of when Crawford, I think it was after the Porter fight, that's when he was a quote unquote free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine if he was still with Top Rank.
We wouldn't have got this fight. We wouldn't have got this fight. And it's nobody's fault. The two just doesn't do business. The two just doesn't do business.
When you say business, are we talking about per split?
Yes.
Slices of the pie?
I mean, I don't know who wasn't willing, but I know Bob Aaron pretty well, I would say, right? I got all the fighters in my camp. I got 2, 3, 4 good fighters in my camp. I can make fights with. Screw you. I don't need you. I can get 100% of the power, man, pay my guys what they deserve versus splitting 50-50 with you, and then my fighters are taking less, and then I'm taking less too. Yeah. Why set a fight up like that?
So when Crawford comes out and says, I was pretty much blackballed, is that an extreme, saying I was blackballed? I mean, he got fights. Remember, sometimes you have to have a willing dance partner too. You have to have someone that wants to take the fight. And we've seen this over the last 5, 10 plus years in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Guys duck each other. Guys don't want to take the fight. Guys want to,
Yeah. Guys want to try to dance around the competition.
There you go.
To say blackball, I wouldn't say that. It was just that, like, the two sides had never done great business, and it started a long time ago with Floyd Mayweather when he was with Top Rank.
Yeah,
he was with Top Rank, and he felt like he was being treated unfairly. Thought that Bob didn't respect or like black fighters. So after he bought him, he got bought out of the contract, paid whatever he had to pay to get out of contract. Then he started doing his business by himself with Al Heyman, not a part of a promotion company. He would be with Al Heyman, and they would negotiate with Golden Boy, because Golden Boy had all the good fighters then.
Yep.
Those are the guys Floyd was fighting, right? Then he created the Mayweather promotion.
Mayweather Promotions.
Al Heyman and Leonard Ellerbe, like, they had the guys down. They got this, and now they can never get the fight done with Pacquiao and all this stuff for years. So the business has to be done the right way in order for us to see these big fights, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's why, even though Spence technically owns the right to a rematch if he wants it, I just, you can talk about what they made last night and everything. I
don't even know what they made. I don't even know what the split was.
I don't know. I mean, they got paid. I'm just saying in general. I just don't see the benefit of a rematch, whether it's at 147 or 154, because
it'll be the same outcome.
It's not like Bud's going to regress and forget what he did last night, right? I mean, it's just it was just, there's a handful of fights you remember over the years where you say, man, as you alluded to, it was like boxing 101. It was a clinic. And to break down a fighter of Spence's caliber as relatively easily as Crawford did, right now everyone wants to talk about pound for pound, and you'll still get people that sit there and say he's not pound for pound the best fighter in the world right now. Okay, fine, whatever.
Why not?
Because it's everyone's opinion. Because they want to find a flaw, a crack here and there. They want to now sit there and say he was overhydrated, he was drained, he wasn't 100%. Here you go. But how it is. That's just what happens, right? And to his credit, I got my ass beat. And to Bud's credit, you can call out the media, because for years PBC ignored the fact that this man ever laced up frigging gloves, which is an absolute joke.
Absolute joke. Absolutely. There's no question about it. That when they keep trying to compare resumes, I'm like, man, at the end of the day, styles make fights. And it's not like Errol Spence fought a whole bunch of Hall of Fame fighters. He fought a bunch of fighters who hadn't fought anybody before him. Hell, right. Kell Brook had been running from Amir Khan for years. For years, bro. And he finally decided to fight Amir Khan after he had been knocked out 3 times.
Right.
So come on, man. Let's be clear now. Let's really be clear about this Kell Brook and this whole resume shit. He been ducking Amir Khan. These guys are from the same place. Amir Khan goes and get knocked out 3 times, and now he wants to fight him? Now you want to fight him? Now you feel confident enough to fight him? Come on, man. Let's not put Kell Brook as one of those guys to where, you can count him as a major fighter, as his Hall of Fame. Ain't no damn Hall of Famer. He'd never be a Hall of Famer.
No.
He fought a bunch of guys that fought nobody before him.
Yeah. Good fighter.
That's it.
Hall of Fame, it levels, right? We talk about it. There's levels. Like, sometimes
he fought Lamont Peterson his first fight from 140 up to 147.
Yeah.
He fought Lamont Peterson coming out of that. Kendall fought Lamont Peterson. I never thought he was great. I never thought he was a great fighter like that. I respect his line of work and what he did, and I respect him as a fighter, because you got to be a different type of guy to get in the ring and put your life on the line. So I respect him as a fighter, but I wouldn't put him up there with some of the top guys.
No.
Okay, he fought Lamont Peterson. Okay, cool. So, and what?
Yeah, but that's what you do in boxing, right? It's comparing resumes. That's why today already I can't take it, man. I don't want to see how would he match up against? Would he be able to defeat? Come on, man. Like, let him enjoy the moment. What do we do? It's almost like when we were talking about, the different eras.
Man.
Right?
Yeah. A fighter puts on one good performance.
Yeah.
Now he wants to plaster him all over the place. Like,
but conversely, a fighter puts on a bad performance and we want to put him out to stud.
Right.
Right.
Like the guy, the guy Top Rank has, the Japanese guy. What's his name?
And I can't pronounce his name, but I knew.
Inouge.
Yeah.
Something like that.
His name. He's a hell of a fighter, but
he's
now
a hell of a fighter. But he's a hell of a fighter for guys at 122 pounds.
But is he pound for pound right now the best boxer in the world?
No, and he cannot fight Tank right now. He cannot get in the ring with Tank right now. So people need to stop that madness. That's pure madness to think this guy who's fighting down here at this weight, who just dominates Fulton, which is a great fighter now. Two good fighters on, he dominated him. He's not ready for a guy like Tank. People need to quit. They need to stop that. And you know what else is really impressive to me? Yes. I'm going totally back that Nonito Donaire was still able to make bantamweight.
Yeah. Still hanging
That's
around.
my guy.
Naoya in you.
I'm like, don't put this man in the ring with Tank already. I know I got totally off subject by going on Donaire, but it's a weight class. I'll tell you what,
though, he did destroy Fulton, and Fulton's a good fighter.
Yeah, he destroyed Fulton. He's a great fighter. You can't put him up. You can't push him from there to 35.
No,
he get killed.
I love the pound for pound list, though.
Garcia would kill him.
Yeah, it's just it's barroom talk, man. It's so subjective. Like right now, pound for pound. Ready? I'm just pulling up ESPN, and you tell me. So Crawford, in OU, I butchered his name. I apologize. Usyk, Spence, Canelo, Bivol, your guy Fury.
See, that's where I stop it at. I stop it there because Tyson Fury should be number one.
Huh?
Tyson Fury should be number one. Who knows? But go ahead.
No, that's it. And then you got Shakur and Haney.
Haney, I don't know. He's
got Progress coming up. He's got Progress coming up.
Yeah, Regis coming up, and they're gonna fight in Vegas. I may go to that one. But why would he not fight Shakur?
So you see them beefing on social, right? Going back and forth, talking about the split and the money, and
you offer him change so he don't take the fight. You offer him chump change so he don't take the fight. I don't know what the split was, but I know it had to be terrible for Shakur to say, I'm not fighting you for that. You know, like, come on, we know Shakur want to fight. And these guys in these barbaric sports like this, they need to get paid. Like, they need to get paid every time they get in there. And you want to give him 25, 20% of the pot while you take all, like, everything? Like, come on, man. Like, that's just I mean.
Too lopsided.
Yeah, 60-40. It couldn't have been. It had to be less than that because he said no.
Yeah.
He understands he don't have a belt. He has nothing to offer. But he's just not going to take any amount of change because he wants to fight. He's not going to do that. I wouldn't do that either. I just wouldn't.
No, there's a big difference when I say guys ducking guys and making the fights to make the fights. We want to see the best fights, but at the end of the day, it's your livelihood on the line. You're getting in the ring, and you want to be handsomely compensated for getting in the ring, right? And putting your life on the line and whatnot. So I get it. I mean, I think I went back and I listened to one of our shows a while ago, and I think Shakur is kind of in a precarious position. He's got to keep going up. He has to.
Here's what I think should happen. And I think since there's a top ranked card that's coming up on Devin's fight when he fights Regis, I think that somebody should do some kind of negotiation for Shakur to fight Lomachenko on the same card as a co-main event. Now, does Regis belong being a main event over Devin Haney or Lomachenko? Probably not. You know, and I like Regis because he's from New Orleans. He's a Louisiana guy like me, so I'm always root for him. You know, but I think that would be one step closer to try to making that fight happen.
Yeah, but you think Shakur's sitting there saying, you know, Haney made pretty much relatively. I mean, he won a unanimous decision against Loma,
and it should have been a draw.
Yeah, we talked about that. It could have went either way, but I mean, you mentioned this a long time ago, right? The risk to reward factor. So is Loma past his prime fighter, Haney with an off night, or is Loma still in his prime in your estimation, where that would be a hell of an exciting fight with Shakur? I'm thinking like Shakur now. Well, yeah, you know what? It could have went either way, but yeah, I don't want this fight. It does nothing for me.
Well, I think Shakur want the Lomachenko fight. He asked him. See, let's do a real fight. Let's put on a real show and let's give
You got a
the
high
due.
volume puncher. You got a high volume puncher and a guy that's very, and a young fighter that he doesn't get hit a lot. They're not aesthetically pleasing, his fight, Shakur, but he's a very smart and very skilled boxer.
I don't think Lomo is past his prime. I think he's right where he need to be. I think him and Shakur will be one hell of a fight.
Yeah.
One hell of a fight. And I think they both will make a good bit of money. So when I say what I said about being the co-main event to that fight, I scratched that because I think that's a main event fight.
Main event.
That's definitely a main event fight. No question. I don't want to sound casual. I don't want to sound casual,
Stick to football, right?
Right, stick to football, big guy. This boxing shit is what I do, man. I do this, man.
They said, I went back. I was laughing at the comments. And don't worry, because I trolled back. I said, you're a bunch of crickets now. Why are you trying why are you trying to smoke number 27? Come out. Yeah. Where'd you go?
Yeah, but same dudes at these boxing groups on Facebook are like, do you know anything about boxing? I'm like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. I only manage fighters. I only manage boxers for a good bit of my time. So I don't know anything about it.
By the way,
I've only been in there myself. So I don't know anything about it.
That fight, that's a title fight. So I would do like Shakur co-main feature, co-feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So out of those four, Loma, Regis, Devin, Shakur, out of those four names, who's got the bigger cachet right now?
I gotta go with Shakur.
Well, then by that rationale, he's got to be the headline.
Got to be the headline.
Yeah.
And that's why I changed it earlier. I was like, maybe that's not a co-main event fight. That's not a co-main fight, him against Lomachenko. I think that's a main event on their own card in Newark, New Jersey. Something like that,
Oh, that was Barclays Center?
Yeah, Barclays Center. Yeah, something like that.
You got any juice? You got any juice with Canelo and Charlo coming up in September?
I'm going with Charlo. I'm going with Charlo because I think Canelo's past his prime. He's taking too many shots now.
Well, hold on a second. I got to make sure here. What are we, July 30th?
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing because I said, when I went back and I snipped it and I tweeted it, I'm like, you don't have to make your prediction now. And you're like, no, I'm making now. That was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm making now. I'll let you know. Yeah, I'll tell you.
Babe Ruth in it? You're calling your shot again?
Yeah, I'm going with Charlo. I'm going with Charlo. If Charlo comes to the fight, do what he needs to do while training, I think he got the size over him. He's fast, he's strong. And me personally, I think Canelo don't really have too much to offer.
Yeah, Canelo, I still think he has a little juice left in the tank. I do.
He keep talking about Floyd Mayweather. Say Floyd Mayweather would never fight him right now. Dude, you're fighting at 168 pounds. No, he wouldn't fight right now.
Fair point with that.
Yeah, like why would he do that? And just to make the fight with you, like Floyd got enough juice to be like, you got to come down to 54. Can you do that? Hell no, you can't do that.
No.
So just get that out of your mind. He took you to school. He taught you a lesson, and just leave it alone.
You gonna troll anyone on social, or you just want me to do it for you?
No, you can do it. I'm not gonna troll anybody. You can do it. I love when people call me casual because it makes me feel, because people don't really know
the background.
How deep I go really into boxing.
Yeah.
And it makes me laugh when people always say that. I've been in negotiation rooms. I've been in the ring. I've done everything. I've done come on now. Casual is I laugh at it, man. I laugh. I might know more about boxing than I actually know about football.
I feel like you're more passionate about boxing than you are about football now.
I am. I may know more about the sport of boxing than I do about football. I mean that with every piece of me.
Well, you had a good giant prediction last year, which we'll get into next week, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Training camp.
Looking forward to talking about that as well. Looking forward to see what they do. They got Saquon back this year.
Yep.
another year of, under DJ's belt, a success now, a success. Not a bad season. He didn't. His stats were solid.
Yeah.
We got a new look offensive line. We got some guys up there. We just got Andrew Thomas paid. We got Evan Neal. He's getting better and better and better. We just drafted a young center. We'll see what he can do. Our defense is pretty. Coming to their second year with the head coach and this new regime. So I'm looking forward to the Giants. Man, I'm gonna have to go out and take the same 12 again I did last year. I'm taking that right now in July.
We'll have to put in that bet for win total for 12. I told you, I felt it's a shame, man. We should have figured out last night. Plus 2,700, early knockdown.
I should have. See, I'm not in there. Like, Rich, if you'd have told me that, I'd have took that shit.
I know.
If you'd have told me that, I'd have put that. I would have put that. I would probably put a couple hundred down on that.
Yep. Finder's fee and everything. All right, we'll do it next time. You don't get a ton of value with these title fights unless there's a big time upset.
No, I tell you what though, I think Charlo finishes Canelo.
I'll you know what? I'll look for some of those props as we.
I think Charlo finished. I think this would be Canelo Alvarez's last fight.
Another bull.
The guy's made a ton of money now.
I know. Well, you're talking maybe. So you're saying ton of money maybe doesn't have that desire.
He doesn't have the. He won't have the desire to Charlo whoop his ass like that. And I heard through the grapevine that there's a lot of young fighters in Mexico that want to be promoted by Canelo.
Interesting.
A lot of young fighters in Mexico that he's a star in Mexico. They're all going to come to him.
Yep.
They're all going to come to him. Watch out, because I think he got an opportunity to build one of the biggest promotional companies ever.
Wow.
And he's still over in Mexico.
Yep.
He lives there.
Yep.
He trains there. All of that. I think he's about to take off with a bunch of young fighters after Charlo whoops his ass on the 30th.
We're the two-time Super Bowl champ. Tell them what you have to say before we get out of here. Next week we'll go football heavy, but tell them what you have to say.
Well, everybody, it's the end of the summer.
Yeah.
I hope everybody had a great time. I hope everybody respect their neighbors. I hope everybody had great humanities. I hope they treated people great, no matter the color or race, right? Just continue to have those good humanities. Please and fucking thank you. Please and thank you.
What about the casual boxing fans? Good humanities to them?
Even good humanities to the old casual boxing guys who call me casual. I mean, it's not your fault. You just don't know any better. I don't know. You were raised a little bit different. I don't know. But good luck to a lot of you guys. And I'll see you casuals on Twitter in a little bit. So,
for the two-time Super Bowl champ, former New York Giant, great running back Brandon Jacobs, Rich Quinones. Check us out next week.
Rich. I wouldn't say great. I was just a guy who went in and got my job done.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Now you loaded. I wound you up today, boy. You wound it up for the great running back of the New York Football Giant, two-time Super Bowl champ, number 27, Brandon Jacobs. I'm Rich Quinones. Check us out next week on 27Q. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to the channel. Next week, we go a little football heavy as well. And I'm sure we'll mix in a little boxing talk. B, always appreciate you, pal.
Yes, sir, brother. It's good seeing you again.
You too.